All right, I think we actually hit record at the same time finally,
Yeah.
so that's good. We're still on the phone.
Yep.
We'll
No
get our
mic yet.
we'll get the gear soon. We'll get the gear right soon enough. All right, well, what are we talking about today? Let's introduce the topic to everybody.
Yeah, the topic for today is African diaspora.
African diaspora. I have a feeling that a lot of the initial listeners will probably fit into this category. That's just because, we're probably going to distribute to some of our friends and stuff like that at the beginning,
Yeah.
So, maybe not. Maybe we'll get a more diverse group listening early on, but I have a feeling like over time, this is going to resonate a lot with diaspora, just because, that's what we are, and we're going to tell a lot of stories from that perspective. So, yeah, I'm excited that this is the first kind of topic that we're diving into, because we both have a lot of experience being diaspora. Is it diaspora or diaspora? How do you say it?
Whatever you want to call it.
How do
I
you
call
say
it
it,
diaspora.
Diaspora? I've
Yeah.
said diaspora before. Man, but like they're a pretty big big community in a way. I'll tell you a little bit about like the diaspora from Tanzania and how like they've had an effect recently. So our president, President Samia someone, that's embarrassing, I don't know the full name, but our president went to the United States recently, and the diaspora there, they wanted to, an audience with her, but she had like a bit of a clash with them because they don't feel like she's doing a great job at the moment. So she wanted to kind of not interact with them and like not answer the difficult questions that they had for her. So they gathered like outside, I think it was a hotel room or something like that, and they tried to get in touch with her, but she just kind of like punked them off and like escaped through the back door. And yeah, it was blowing up on Twitter, and it was blowing up just like on WhatsApp groups, like your auntie's WhatsApp group. They were talking about that a lot, about how like they're being disregarded in a way. And like, do you feel that that's also the case? Like in Nigeria, do you think they have like an impact back home in a way, like through their views or through the things that they would like to see happen in their home country? Or are they also kind of considered outsiders in kind of a way?
So you mean the Nigerian diaspora?
Yeah.
Nigeria is a very interesting culture.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, Nigerian diaspora is all around the world.
Yeah.
But they're like...
That's true.
They call Nigerians cockroaches.
Why?
Great question. Cockroaches are everywhere on Earth.
Okay.
And cockroaches don't die easily. Like, literally, if everyone was to get bombed or killed,
Yeah,
in the
they
world,
said that, right? Like
cockroaches will be the last surviving creatures.
If you hit them with
And
nuclear,
that's
it doesn't
Nigerians.
matter.
Nigerians have a sense of survival.
Yep.
They just always find ways to survive.
Yeah.
If you go to a place, if you're looking at the top people that are thriving, and there'll be a Nigerian
There'll
there.
be some
If you see
Nigerians.
someone surviving, there'll be Nigerians.
Yeah.
So first of all, you see Nigerians everywhere.
Yeah.
And also Nigerians, for the most part, I mean, you will see exceptions, but for the most part, always have a sense of connection to home. Nigerians are just proud of Nigeria.
Yeah.
So they always know what's going on back home. Even if you want to, like, your family members won't let you forget.
Yeah.
Like if you see a Nigerian pretending like they're not really Nigerian, they're only pretending like that on social media.
Yeah.
They have family members that are that
Make
won't
it
let them
Nigerian.
that won't let them forget.
Yeah.
So you're always connected to what's going on back home.
Yeah.
Like Nigeria affects me so much, man. Like I'm not in Nigeria, but I still send money to my family.
Yeah.
And whatever happens there directly, well, indirectly affects me too.
Yep.
Like there was a time there was an issue with the bank.
Yep.
You can't directly send money to.
Is that recent?
That was 2 years ago.
Okay. I saw something recently about a similar situation, but yeah, maybe I'm thinking about something else. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, that was 2 years ago, and it had to like I had like a direct deposit from my accounts that I had set up with like I think World Remit I was using at the time.
Yep.
That just sends money to my mom every month.
Yep.
But the banks in Nigeria all of a sudden decided that you're not allowed to send money directly to your bank account.
Why wouldn't I want that?
I have
seems
no
like
idea.
It's good for everybody.
I have no idea. I mean, at that point, it was like a huge part of their it was a huge part of their GDP. Yeah, I don't know why the banks would. I would not want that because, like I said, it's like 10 at that point. It was like 10% of the GDP or something like that.
Yeah.
So like it was foreign remittance
Yeah.
was like a huge portion.
10%.
Yeah,
That's a big chunk, man.
it is, and the money is still flowing in. It's just harder for people. Like now, when I send money to my mom, she has to go to the bank and then take the money. Then she has to go find a way to convert it, and it's just a hassle, man. Like she's an old lady. She doesn't need that stress.
All this admin stuff.
Yeah. So.
And there's like, best believe there's people like taking a small percentage all along the
Oh,
way,
yeah.
each part of that process.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
there's the dollar exchange is like a black market there. Like,
Yeah.
Anyways, it's very tough, and on an emotional level, I don't want my mom to be stressing out. That's annoying.
Yeah.
And then also in terms of how I send money now, like I have to do that manually every month, where it was automatic before.
Automatic, yeah.
So it is what it is. The elections would be another example. Like Nigerians have, on social media, they've been like pushing to get people to vote for the right candidates. They've been advocating. So that has a direct impact on what's going on back home. That's just in politics.
Yeah.
In terms of entertainment, when I used to DJ in university, I used to play Nigerian music then. Afrobeats was not like what it is now.
Yeah, not a specific genre maybe.
No, it was a genre. Oh, I guess the Afrobeats was not, they hadn't used the name at the time. But the style of music, we knew what it was, but outside of Nigeria, it wasn't as huge then. But then Nigerians weren't proud of that themselves too. Like, it was just called local music then. So no one wants to be listening to local music. So even the Nigerians outside of Nigeria, they were not that into it. So I used to like try to play those songs. Then the foreigners in Newfoundland, which was mostly white people, they loved it. So I knew there was something there. So anyways, from me playing it, then one of my friends who is white would play it, would like it, then go home and play it, and then their friends like it. Before you know it, it's like spreading. So that was just me. And I noticed that my friends in the UK, my friends in Australia, my friends in Jamaica, everywhere, were doing the same thing.
Similar
so
things,
that helped Afrobeats to become what it is. And when you when you understand the culture, the same thing happened to like dancehall back in the days. You like the music, then you like the culture, you like the food, you start wearing like Jamaican flags and all those things. Same thing happened to Africa and Nigeria specifically, where a lot of the music and culture started becoming more prominent. And so diaspora affects it a lot.
So are you saying that like that's part of the role that they play or they should play, is like outreaching into the world with the culture? Like you're talking about it like from a lens of music, but it could be anything else, it could be like film perhaps, or books or something like that. Maybe diaspora has like more of a opportunity to distribute some of these artworks and some of these like cultural artifacts, for lack of a better term, to the greater population. Do you think that's like a responsibility that they have? Because I've seen it both ways, where somebody like leaves their home country and they leave their home country behind as a result. Like it's like, I'm gonna go assimilate and take on new things. And there's a whole spectrum between that person and the person who comes in and like does not assimilate at all and just like lives out their culture the whole time. I've always kind of been maybe somewhere in between. Like I'm somewhere else, so like now I'm experiencing that, but I'm also myself. So, I have an opportunity to also introduce people to a world maybe they're not familiar with at all. So I'd considered it. I used to really think it was like a responsibility, I felt a responsibility to do that, and I don't know if it necessarily is. Like, what are your thoughts there?
You said the word though that I'm thinking. It's opportunity. Like the example I gave you with the music stuff. I just noticed that we, people in diaspora happen to have created that effect in terms of music and culture. Which leads to an opportunity, like what other areas can we do that? Like our house, can we, if tourism is a good driver of revenue for a country.
Yep.
If the country is not doing a good job, or these countries are not doing a good job of promoting it, we can be the ones. Like, I'm always constantly telling people, hey, you should visit Nigeria, you should go do this, you should go do that.
Yep.
And I also give them, the things that they should be cautious of.
Yeah.
So, yes, there's an opportunity to do that in other ways, like tourism, like business opportunities.
Yep.
We can definitely be cultural ambassadors. That's what we call it.
Diasporan
Should be cultural
that's
ambassadors.
a nice term. It's a nice term right there.
On the flip side, though, you mentioned responsibility. I don't think it should be anyone's responsibility or even expectation.
Yeah.
Because everyone's situation is different. Like, when I left Nigeria, I kind of had the intention to go back.
Yeah.
But when I came to Canada, things happened back home. My mom ended up losing a lot of money, and part of it was because of the way the country
is being
run, and that made me not like the country.
Yep.
There was a time I absolutely disliked Nigeria.
Like actively.
Yeah, and so that was someone who liked Nigeria. Now I didn't like Nigeria.
Yep.
And then after years, like 10 years, I eventually went back home.
Yep.
And then I saw my family, I saw my friends, I saw what I left.
Yep.
And that love came back again. I was like, oh, this is why I left her. This is my purpose. So then my sense of responsibility came back again.
Yeah.
So who would I be to judge someone who is on a different journey? Mine was a journey of a few years.
Mm-hmm.
Someone, it might have taken them like 60 years to get to a point where they love the country again. Or maybe they don't even love it ever. I think everyone is different.
So I think you might have kind of answered this a little bit, but do you think the diaspora is kind of responsible for contributing back home as well? And I know I'm using a strong word with responsible there, and some people, you're not going to feel more responsible than others maybe. But do you think that you should go forward, looking back from where you came from, understanding your roots, understanding that you need to kind of provide for them, and it was the launch pad that kind of brought you out, but you need to kind of look after it as well for like future generations of people from there? Do you feel that need to do that?
I don't think anyone can be useful to the world from like an empty cup.
Yeah.
So what I always say is, fill your own cup first. You know, take care of yourself, and then your immediate family, and then your community, and so on and so forth. So if you do have family in Nigeria, yes, after you've taken care of yourself, yes, you probably should start looking at helping your family in Nigeria as well.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't have any family in Nigeria, then I don't know how motivated you will be to help solve anything there.
Yeah.
And I'm just in Nigeria as example, because that's where that's my own origin.
Yeah.
But the same thing applies from Tanzania or anywhere as well, I would imagine. Or what do you say?
Yeah, it's the same everywhere. I have to imagine. Like, you're saying a lot of things that resonate a lot with my personal experience, having come from Tanzania. Like, same thing. Like, politics maybe having a huge effect on the quality of life of the people back home. You having an opportunity to grow and become something and contribute to your family back home, and then doing that, and like whether or not it's being asked of you, it's like something that you're like, I'm in a position to do it, so I might as well do it. But I also resonate with the idea of you needing to pour from a full cup. Like, when you're building yourself up, and if you're constantly emptying, then both of you are kind of in the same, you'll always be in the same position.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, if you can get yourself somewhere where you're stable and you can help somebody else also get stable, then I think you should do that. But I don't think you should do it prematurely or at the expense of you being able to kind of set up something for yourself, if that's that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
I think you should be able to fully live out your life as much as possible, because when you're in that position of like abundance, then other people can also join you in that position, but not before.
I totally agree. Yeah. It's a very tough one, though, to be honest, because even me saying this right now, this situation might be different. We have an election in Nigeria like next week.
Next week?
Depending on what the outcome of that is, I could be like, I don't care about Nigeria. Who knows?
Okay.
Who knows? And keep in mind too, a lot of people escape their countries by been refugees as well.
Yeah, like if you
Are
left
you going
because
to
of war,
are you going
for
to
example,
expect such a person to go back and help?
that's totally different. That's an interesting nuance. Is like, how did you leave?
Yeah.
Because for me, it was like the typical education route. Like you finish school, you look for opportunities for where you can do like your further learning or like your post high school learning, and then that's the reason you emigrate. But if you're forced to emigrate, I feel like you have a different relationship with your home country.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want to put any sort of like tag on them, like, oh, like, yeah, you left and now look like you've got this chocolate factory somewhere now, like, come on, you should be contributing. I don't know that they feel the same way that like you and I would feel because of the way we left.
Yeah, I mean, for some people it's traumatic. It's just mentally, emotionally, some people just can't look at where they're from and go back. It's something they try to forget.
Yep.
So it's not, we can compare experiences in that way. And also, I think legally some people are not even allowed to go back. Like if you're like a refugee
that's true.
of a country, you can't go back to that country.
Yeah.
So it's all different for everyone.
Does Nigeria allow dual citizenship?
Oh yeah. Nigeria, they don't care how many other countries you're a citizen of. So yeah,
I feel like that might be a big part of that 10% remittance.
Yeah.
That goes back is like you are probably more inclined to invest back home if you always have a home back home.
Yeah.
Like if your family is still back there and like you're working on something together, maybe you're getting some land or you're investing in some business together in hopes of the future of finally returning back home, you're gonna have that more selfish drive rather than just like I'm going to contribute. It's like I'm also building my own future by doing this.
Right.
So like I feel like that dual citizenship is really important. Tanzania doesn't allow dual citizenship.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you're not a Canadian citizen yet, right?
No.
What would you do when you reach that crossroad?
Tough decision. Because like for the immediate future, it would be way more beneficial for me to be Canadian because it opens up the world in a lot of ways. Like I don't know if this is a story for this particular topic, but I remember traveling with some Canadian friends. I just tell the short version. Maybe we'll cover travel in some episode in the future, but I remember traveling with them and it was in Southeast Asia, and it's never been so blatantly obvious for me like that you can inbuild systematic gatekeeping for certain groups of people.
Yep.
So like for me traveling to go someplace to like enter a country and things like that is like a whole visa process that would constantly like I was checked every single flight that I was going, bro. Yep. I was like, this can no longer be random. I was like 1 time, 2 times. Ooh, 2 times a lot. Yeah, what are the chances of that? Then I was like 3 times in a row. That's too many times, So, and I could see them just like going in and out of customs incredibly easy. Like going in and out of countries was super easy. And it's the same thing now. Like we live like 2 hours away from Seattle. I've never been, because like for me, it's a whole process. Like I was like looking online. Oh, wow. It's like 360 something days for me to get an interview to go down to the States.
Oh, for real?
A year to wait for an interview for you to go down.
Oh, wow.
Whereas if I was Canadian, I could probably be there by 8 p.m. I'd be there, bro. So I'm like, wow. These things kind of like gatekeep you in a way.
Yeah.
And so that would be my main reason for getting a Canadian passport, is to unlock the world in a way, because like so much easier to go in and out, to go to these conferences. Earlier, actually, before we hit record, you were talking about Afrotech.
Yeah.
And I would have loved to go to something like that, but at the same time, it can't be like 3 months away, and then now I'm gonna go to this thing. It's like too soon. I can't plan for it. But if I had a Canadian passport, it's like, all right, let's get the dollars together, and then we go. It's literally that simple. So, yeah, that for the immediate future, it makes sense for me to think about being a Canadian.
Yeah.
But long term, I also have the similar dream of like maybe, retiring with all this foreign money that I made back home, and just like living life out back there. Because I enjoyed my childhood a lot.
Yeah.
But like there's just like a lack of opportunity or back there as compared to here. So I have to be here for the moment in order to live out like a better version of life in a way. So yeah, I would that's why dual citizenship is a must. Like I would be investing more back home. I would be
Yeah.
like participating more back home because I know like I've got somewhere to like go back to and all of this. But if I do decide to go Canadian, it's more difficult for me to own stuff back home now.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
wow.
So
That's a
it's
tough predicament.
Yeah, it puts you in a predicament. So it's interesting, like from even our diaspora perspective, it's like, what role do we have to play back home? Because I know a lot of Tanzanians are probably in a similar situation who are living like in the United States.
Yeah.
It would have been way more beneficial for them to become like a state citizen because that's where they live, that's their day-to-day. The U.S. passport obviously comes with a few benefits. They would make that decision. They would go with the U.S. passport. But then when it's like time to think about that next step in life, like maybe you've had your children, they've grown up, now you're like, okay, where do we go to chill out, or where do we go to even have those children I was talking about and things like that. Home is obviously the number one thing that you would consider. But
Yeah.
now that you've spent time building, your life is set up in the US, you can't go
Right.
back as easily, you can't like own things back home as easily. And it puts the diaspora in a tough position in a way. It's like what do you do? Like how do you focus your energy?
I would like to create a poll on this, maybe on Twitter or something at some point, just to see how many people were in that situation and
Yeah.
what did they choose.
That would be interesting to find out.
I would like to see the outcome of that.
That would be very, very interesting.
I don't know what I would choose. Like, it's funny you mentioned this thing because I only just became a citizen last year of Canada, and I already take that for granted.
Yeah.
Like, because before I know how Nigerian passport is one of the hardest passports to travel the world with.
Yeah?
Oh my God, it's horrible. I remember a few years ago, my ex-girlfriend and I were planning on going to Bali.
Yeah.
So I had already been living in Canada as a permanent resident for quite a while.
Yep.
In Canada, as a permanent resident, you're like a Canadian.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about
basically
anything.
have all of
So I got carried away. So she was like, "Oh, my friend is a travel agent. She found this ticket. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
We should book."
Yeah.
I didn't think this through. I was just like, yeah, sure, let's book it."
Yeah.
So we booked it. Spent like 300,000. Not 300,000.
I was like, damn, bro, what kind of trip is this?
We spent $3,000. I didn't look at anything. Only for like 8 months, 9 months went by.
Yeah.
Just 7 weeks till the trip.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, let me start. Like,
I should prepare
for the trip. Then I looked. I was like, oh my God, visa requirements. She was like, yeah, what do you mean? I was like, visa requirements. Nigeria, you always need a visa.
Yeah.
So then I checked. She was like, oh, Bali, you don't need visa. I was like, oh, thank God. Then I looked. There was only one exception. Every country in the world
Yeah. Can go in
can
no
go
visa.
with no visa except Nigeria.
Oh my God.
One
bro.
country
One
had to be
country.
And
How long was the process?
oh my God, the process was pretty much, they made it impossible.
Yeah.
So not only, it takes like 2 months.
Yeah.
So at this point, this was already 7 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. I'm used to finding my ways to make things happen
Yeah.
on a quicker timeline.
Yeah.
That's not the issue. But the issue was I needed to know someone that works in like government in Indonesia, which is Bali.
Yeah.
For some reason, I have a friend who used to live in Newfoundland,
Yeah.
moved to Bali.
Yeah.
He works for the government. Perfect.
Yeah, that works.
That works.
That worked
Okay,
out
cool.
nicely.
On top of that, you need to pay like, I think $7,000 or something for the visa application.
What?
Yeah. After I read that, I didn't even look at the other requirements. I was just
Yeah,
what?
We're done.
I'm like, I don't care. I was like, I would
We're
rather
done
just,
here.
I'm
It's
not
like, what are
doing-
you gonna go? $7,000
Yeah, I was
visa.
like-
It's like, am I gonna go start a business over there? That's the only
No,
way I
I
could
was like,
justify
nope.
spending that much.
Not doing it.
Yeah.
So that's how, Bali didn't happen. So now that I can actually go with my Canadian visa passport, I kind of have this bitter taste for Bali that I can't travel. I can't go there.
It's nice there, man. You should go.
Maybe. I mean, the people didn't do anything for me. In a way, it was kind of my own stupidity, so I can't fault them for it. But yeah, I lost money for that, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, travel is a huge aspect of all of this stuff, and I mean, I'm glad I can use both. So, damn, I don't know. I hope this poll can help you understand that one. There are more people that are facing this.
Yeah.
Or see if there's any other ways around it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely love to, after that poll, maybe get people that are not non-Africans or whatever, get different people from all around the world to see what their travel experience is.
Yeah.
Because I have a bunch of messed up stories as well with my travel experience that I would like to share as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember, man, I want to tell another travel story. You know what? We'll save these travel stories for another episode, man. I have some good, I have some interesting experiences as well. I'm sure you've had them too, so we'll chat about that.
No worries, man. I mean, this is not like, there's no strict restrictions in all of these topics.
Yeah.
There will always be tangents. Things will always interweave. That we are humans,
it's
our
all
lives
related.
are connected.
They're all related.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll try to stick to the point, which is about the diasporan experience.
Yeah.
Something you mentioned earlier on, though, which you said, about investing back home.
Yep.
There's also these spiritual connections as well.
Yep.
Like, as much as the older I get, the more Nigerian I feel that I am.
Yeah.
Like, which is strange. I came to Canada as a Nigerian, and then over time I became Canadian.
Yeah.
But spiritually, I feel more Nigerian because I realize that's where my strength comes from.
Yep.
Like, I'm very persistent when I'm trying to get things done.
Yeah.
And I realize people around me are not necessarily like that.
Yeah.
And
so
it's not something I built. It's an advantage I built. If you come from a country where everything frustrates you, you need that sense of stamina, mental stamina to keep going.
Also creativity. You mentioned that recently with the travel story,
Yeah.
It's like, I have my ways around certain things.
Exactly.
And you need that. And in this world, you can't just go through the path. Sometimes you need to find your way, maneuver your way.
Because in this society, there's already pre-created paths that you can walk into.
Yep.
In Nigeria, the same path that worked yesterday won't work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Things change every day.
And you need to be ready.
It's a society with no system, but there's a lot of tiny little systems that you have to navigate.
Yep.
So you need crazy creativity to survive. And I took that for granted, but I just realized that, the more I work professionally or even within friends, that I realized oh wow, this is not a skill I had to learn. This is a skill that I had to learn to survive.
Yep.
So I'm grateful for Nigeria for that. And that gives me that sense of pity for people that are probably smarter than me that just don't have the opportunity. So I always, want to give back. That's what this podcast is kind of for me. It's like, to leave that little bit of a ladder to help other people reach where we might be. And also, if there's something we don't know, use this as a means to learn so that we can share with people.
Communication, so back to diaspora and back home connection. Do you think they should play a role in what happens back home, and not necessarily just politically, but through their influence? Do you think they should be able to affect the direction a particular country takes, a way that things are developing back home, have a say essentially in the direction of their country, even though they don't really necessarily live there?
Should they want to, or should they be able to?
Should they be able to? Whether or not they want to, that's up to them. But if they want to, should they be able to play a role?
I'm not sure if Nigeria does, but I know some countries allow you to vote when you're outside of the country. Canada does that.
It allows you to vote?
Yeah, when you're outside of the country.
Yeah, that's interesting.
You should be able to, as long as you're a citizen, right? A citizen is a citizen.
Yep.
So if you're a diaspora outside of the country, you should be able to. But, there are some African diasporans that are not necessarily citizens of their country.
Of their country.
If I have kids here now, before they go back home, if they don't have the citizenship yet, they are still African diasporans, but they are just...
they don't have that.
So I guess they probably won't have a say in what's going on. I guess, yes. So I guess the answer to that is it should be limited to the citizenship.
Okay. I think that makes sense to me as well. I feel like as long as you hold a passport, you should have some sort of... Because it's still who you represent wherever you go. And like you say, as you're going through certain gatekeeping situations or whatever, that's who you are. So you should have some sort of a way of impacting what that means in the world. Anyway, so I would agree. I think if you want to be involved, you should be able to be involved as much as you want.
I see citizenship I see countries like companies. And citizenship is like you're a shareholder
Yep.
in the company.
Your stock options.
Yeah, your stock option. So you have vested interest
Yep.
in the nation. So
Yep.
anyone that has stock
Yep.
should be able to have voting rights
Yep.
and be able to affect the direction.
Yep.
Which is what citizenship is.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know many diaspora, like in BC, like around you, day to day?
I've met quite a few groups.
Yep.
We have surprisingly, there's quite a fair amount of Americans,
Yep.
African Americans that are here. They're Africans like me and you.
Yep.
There are a lot of Caribbeans.
Yeah.
A lot of Caribbeans. I'm starting to see a lot of Afro-Asians too.
Afro-Asian.
Yeah, like African and Asians,
Yeah.
which until I came to BC, I
You
never
don't really
experienced
see
that. I mean, we all know Pharrell, but
Yeah.
we all know Pharrell. Who else did I know? Kimora Lee Simmons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Besides that, I didn't know much of that mix.
Yeah.
But now there's a lot of that type of diasporans there.
Yeah.
What other type are there? The British brothers and sisters.
There's a pretty big
And in
population. a lot of people I know from my school, for example, they went to the UK, living their lives out in the UK now, and so like, I'm curious. I would like to talk to them to see if their experience is any different from like people who moved to China somewhere and lived there and studied there, because a lot of people do that, is go to China to study.
Yeah.
Then a lot of people maybe are in the US.
Oh yeah, my brother studied in Singapore actually.
Yeah, so like I'll be curious, like what was his experience versus like your experience having gone to like different countries and being a diaspora in different countries, and whether or not that affects your experience as a diaspora in a way. Yeah. It'd be interesting to find that out as well. So if you are a diaspora of a particular country and you'd like to share your story, reach out. We would love to hear that story.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll tell it on the podcast.
Yeah, and I guess this is more like an introduction to the idea of what it's like being a diaspora.
Yeah.
A lot of these topics we'll always touch on them later on.
Yeah.
Maybe someday we'll have like a diaspora perspectives. Try to get different experiences. What's it like being Black in the UK? What's it like being Black in China? What's it like Black in Poland? That would be very interesting.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, because a lot of people say the Black experience, but it's all kind of put under one bucket in a way, but I feel like there's nuances to this. So I'm really interested to see like how people have fared in the decisions that they made, or like the countries that they ended up in, and how those experiences compare to one another.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
When I created Blackroot, that was exactly why I created it.
Yeah.
People were asking me all these questions about, how to learn about Black people, and I only know Black as a African, and I don't know Black as an African in Canada. I don't know all the Black experiences, and the easiest option was just to crowdsource the library of resources, and surprisingly, people started posting stuff, and I was able to learn about different experiences I had never experienced as well. They are Black natives as well. Yeah. Like, you don't think of that as a thing, but they are Black natives too. Yeah. So you have the struggle as a Black person. Yeah. Visibly Black. Yeah. But you also have the struggles that natives face as well. So it's wild. So this is a very nuanced topic that I would love us to,
Yeah, let's get some more perspectives on it.
Today was more of the Black Africans perspective. They're even not Black, but they are Africans who are not Black. They are white. There's a lot of people in South Africa that are full on white, but Elon Musk is African.
And he would have like a different experience, a different story to tell.
Exactly.
Right?
So technically, that's still African diaspora. Yeah. You know what I mean? African diaspora doesn't necessarily mean Black diaspora. Yeah.
So, Charlize Theron as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. It took me up to like 3 years ago before I realized that she is as well. Yeah. So there's many of us than people realize.
Yeah, I think we need to add also the quote-unquote Black experience as like a topic of discussion as well, because of all of the various nuances that there are with it. Yeah. I feel like it'd be an interesting topic to explore. So, we'll talk about that in a future episode, but we'll call it there for this one.
Yeah, for sure. We're trying to keep this very well. As I mentioned, there will be tangents, but we're trying to keep it focused at the same time and around 30 minutes mark.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll actually get it 30 minutes next time. All right. Thank you all for listening, and we'll catch you in the next one.
All right, stay safe.